Welcome to the MFP Report. In this report, I will be talking about uh, you know what I feel is going on. Now, first thing is it surprised me, and this is a little bit late for me, but it surprised me about how good the the Saints defense played against the New York Giants. Now, granted, the Giants were going, dink and dunk, and the Saints can defend that pretty. It seems like can defend that pretty well. And if you have a cornerback that is strong enough, that is that likes to play the rough game against Odell Beckham Jr. He doesn't. Odell Beckham Jr. just does not do well against the rough game. In terms of get up in his face and jamming him at the line of scrimmage and that. So we'll see if that continues Monday night with the Saints and how they play Julio Jones. We're more than likely with some of the injuries that the Saints are having, we're likely to see a little bit more of some three safety looks, possibly a little bit more of former Alabama safety that played really, really well for a long time for the Saints, but is basically a specialty player now in Roman Harper. You put him up at the line of scrimmage and you let him do the blitzing thing, and he's good at that. You don't want him covering, but they may not have a choice in the matter because of the injuries that they've suffered in the defensive backfield. This is kind of like what happened, I guess, I believe it was '92 maybe, when they were having to bring a bunch of people off the streets because, Toy Cook and a few of the other guys at the time who were playing with the Saints uh, got hurt, you know, and and that's that, and secondly, the LSU game, Miles has to win this game. We already know he's going at the end of the season. If he doesn't win this game, there's a pretty good shot that he's fired on Tuesday at the latest. At the latest, he's fired on Tuesday. At the earliest, it's going to be probably on the way back on. Don't even get on the plane at the earliest. But at the latest, it would be on Tuesday. You could say the same thing about Gus Malzahn. He has to win this game. I just don't. We're just gonna LSU should just out talent, Auburn. They really should. That's how it should be. I mean, I'll say this: they have not been the same since he had one or two good. Malzahn had one or two good years at Auburn directly following the debacle that was the Cam Newton, basically Auburn buying a national championship and therefore, sort of kind of buying a national championship and getting on probation and all that stuff. So after that, it's been a steady decline for him. And it didn't help that they lost some scholarships here and there and they won probation and all that stuff. It didn't help him there. But again, you know, there have been people on probation, put on probation, and it really didn't matter. I mean, USC won a lot on probation. Yeah, they took away some scholarships and this, that, and the other, but they still found a way to win and tread water. Auburn didn't. Auburn simply didn't do that. So Malzahn and Miles, this is again, whoever loses this game is done. Miles is done probably at the end of the season if he wins this game. If he loses again, he's done at the beginning of the season. I mean, probably at Tuesday at the latest. Tuesday at the latest. Now, in terms of other things that are going on, you know, I'm we're getting close to seeing what's going to happen with the idiocy that is Johnny Jones. If he doesn't make any corrections, he's done. He should be done. He should have been done last year. Don't get me started on on. Don't get me started on Ben, whatever his name was, the all everything, whatever guard, point forward, whatever you want to call it, that that really didn't pan out here. And who knows if he's going to pan out in the NBA. Don't get me started on that guy. And look, I said it before Johnny Jones got hired. Johnny Jones was was a man who, in my mind, even though he left shortly before they got put on probation, he was tied too deeply to the Lester Earl deal. He was one of the ones that helped recruit Lester Earl. And he was sort of tied too deeply to that deal. He should never have been here. There were better choices at the time for LSU to pick as a basketball coach than Johnny Jones. But again, I guess they fell into, well, we want a hometown boy or something like that. You know, Not to say that Johnny Jones wasn't good at what he was doing at where he was, but again, he just hasn't shown it here, and he consistently gets himself out coached in games that he shouldn't be out coached in. Now, granted, there are certain places you know, like Vanderbilt that is it's the way the arena is set up. People have every team has trouble playing in Vanderbilt. It's a definite, because of the setup of the arena. It's a definite hometown advantage for the Vanderbilt Commodores in basketball. And of course Kentucky as well. Kentucky, you know. So anybody who coaches here at LSU is going to have problems with Kentucky. It doesn't matter. Kentucky is Kentucky, but we should be better against Alabama basketball wise. We should be better against Auburn basketball wise. We should be better against South Carolina and Texas A&M and Mississippi State and Ole Miss. We should we should have winning series against all those teams, but we don't. But we don't. You know, because they're you know uh, Alabama football, Ole Miss. Yeah, they've had some good basketball, but generally they're average. Mississippi State, they've had some good coaches that have, you know, Richard Williams and others that have outcoached people here, but generally they don't have the talent. Arkansas is a different animal as well because they replaced the good coach with a good coach, and basically that guy has run the same type of system that the former coach ran there, and and A&M is another basketball school that at LSU should have no problems with, but they do. So, and they're just getting in the conference. Now, Missouri is a totally different animal as well. They're very good at basketball. So if LSU has a losing over uh, losing record generally against them, I can see that because they're good in basketball. They're better in basketball than they are in football, but it's just the fact. And of course, Florida is on another level with Billy the Kid. You know, Billy the Kid's got that program just trucking along, and it's going to be, as long as he's there, it's going to be very good. And it will depend when he decides to step aside. It will depend on how they treat, how they treat the next coach, how they treat the next search for the next coach, you know, because that's going to be a sort of a plum job for whomever comes after Billy Donovan. And this has been the MFP report for uh, September the 23rd, 2016.